And here we go. Humanities 101 and Nachos reminds you that you are enough. Now we join Dr. Dutch with the Neuro-Affirming Conversation Hour for outreach and support.
Welcome back, Nacho Knots, to another episode of Nachos, the Neuro-Affirming Conversation Hour for outreach and support. This week's episode feels a little different. It's a little quieter, a little slower, like the air itself has shifted. November does that. Autumn does that. It asks us to pause, to notice, and to reflect. And there's a quote from Tolkien that has been echoing in my mind since this past weekend. Gandalf says to Pippin, "Death is just another path, one that we all must take." When I first heard that line years ago when watching the movie, it struck me as something meant to soften grief, a phrase for those of us left behind. But standing in my sister's barn this past weekend where my family gathered to toast my dad's memory, the words felt more like truth than comfort. They weren't only about death, they were about change, about how every path, every turn of the season, it asks us to let go of something we love. Because November itself is a lesson in letting go. The trees are almost bare now, their branches drawn like sketches across the pale sky, almost like a Bob Ross painting. The air carries both the sharpness of winter's approach and the faint sweetness of harvest long past. The world feels in between. Not dying, exactly, but transitioning, preparing, remembering. The ground itself is pulling its strength inward, resting beneath the surface. And maybe that's what Gandalf meant, that this path, the one we all must take, isn't just a final one. It's every quiet turning we live through. Every goodbye, every move, every season that asks us to trust in what comes next. In that barn, surrounded by warmth and flickering lights, we told stories that made us laugh until we cried. We raised glasses, shared embraces, and let the memory of my father do what it does best. Keep what matters most alive. Outside, the wind rustled through what few leaves were left, and inside, we were doing what November teaches us to do, gathering what remains, treasuring it, and preparing to carry forward. Because that's what this season and our lives are both about. The rhythm of returning, of endings feeding beginnings, of light fading only to rise again in another form. Love doesn't vanish, it shifts. It lingers in the laughter that echoes long after the music stops, in the way someone's story can warm a cold night. So today, we're talking about cycles of nature, of grief, of memory, about how each transition asks us not just to endure, but to evolve, to change, to embrace the journey. Because even when the trees look empty and the fields go still, the roots below are still alive. They're storing energy and they're waiting for spring. And in the same way, every quiet moment of loss carries the quiet promise of renewal. As the night in the barn drew to a close, I found myself standing for a moment in the doorway, between the warmth of the light inside and the cool November air outside. The laughter had quieted into soft conversation, and all I could think about was how my dad used to talk about ripples. He believed, or rather knew, that everything we do sends something outward. A kindness, a word, a gesture, a story, all of it becomes motion. He called it a ripple theory. The idea that even the smallest act of care or courage keeps moving through the world, touching people we may never meet, and shaping lives in ways we'll never see. And I realized then that this is what I've been trying to do all along. Through teaching, through Humanities 101, through NACHOS, through Neuro Nibbles. Neuro-Affirmation is the ripple theory in motion. Every time we create a classroom or a workplace or a community where difference is honored instead of hidden, we send a ripple outward. Every time we give someone permission to rest or to belong or to just be, we carry that same current my dad believed in. So as the seasons shift and I turn toward the work ahead, that's the legacy I want to continue. One ripple at a time. Building spaces where every brain, every heart, and every story can find calm water. Because that's what he taught me. That love, when lived through action, never ends. It just moves quietly, powerfully, from one life to the next. Almost Newtonian in its principles. As I thought about that, sitting there thinking about this, about how one life can ripple outward into countless others, I realized that the same ripples have been moving through everything we've built together. My dad's theory wasn't just about personal legacy. It was about people. It's about how compassion moves, how kindness multiplies exponentially, and how one small act of understanding can create a current strong enough to carry others forward. And I see those ripples every day in classrooms, in community spaces, and most recently at the Michigan Disability Empowerment Conference. That day was more than a gathering. It was a reflection of what can happen when courage and care share the same space. People came together not out of obligation, but out of belief, out of hope. But most importantly, out of hope and belief that belonging is possible. That voices once silenced can rise in harmony together, and that change begins not in policy or systems, but in real human connection. I just got the photos, and when I look at the photos from the other day, I see the same energy that filled my sister's barn. Laughter, warmth, and love woven through the moments of reflection. The same current that flowed through my father's life, a current of care, creativity, and courage, is flowing still. It's moving through every conversation, every story, every person who chooses to build a more neuro-affirming world. And so as we close today's episode, I want to leave you with that vision. Not as an ending, but as a continuation. The ripples go on. The work goes on. The love goes on. So this final video is a collection of photos from the MDEC, and it's more than a slideshow. It's a reminder that each of us is part of something larger, something living. Every face you see, every smile, every shared moment, every shared meal is a ripple. And it spreads hope, inclusion, belonging, and affirmation farther than any of us can see or fathom. So as the image fades, take a breath. Feel the current moving through you and carry it forward. Carry it forward into your classrooms. Carry it forward into your communities, but most importantly, carry it forward in your families. Because that's what legacy truly is. Not what we leave behind, but what we set in motion. And guys, this is how the ripple lives on. And so again, I give you the MDEC. don't know about you, but I like that. And watching that made me realize all the fabulous people I did not get to meet that day and did not get a chance to talk to. So again, if you would like to do something like the Michigan Disability Empowerment Conference or work with Humanities 101 or myself in any way, please reach out. Humanities101.org. And again, if you've been with us this long, you've stuck around, watched the slideshow, and if you're a student of mine, you're here for your weekly question. And my question to you is, what do you plan to do to start a ripple today? So what is the thing that you would like to consciously do? Small act of kindness, a small gesture towards a friend, a family member, your community, your family. What do you plan to do today to start a ripple of goodness, of kindness, of joy? And again, I want you to post this in the comments here on YouTube, Spotify, any place that you find us. But I would like to know what your plan is on spreading a little ripple of joy, kindness, or happiness today. And hopefully that your sharing will inspire other people to do the same. And from all of us here at NACHOS, the Neuro-Affirming Conversation Hour for Outreach and Support, I thank you so much for being with us today. And I will see you next week, Monday at noon, for another episode of the Neuro-Affirming Conversation Hour for Outreach and Support. And remember, Nacho Knots, you are enough and you are worth it. Thank you so much. Have a